By way of introduction, I just want to do a little bit of background first. So really my thing is all about that, inspiring humanity by bringing beauty and meaning into this world through the art that I do. And I really mean it, and I do it with all my heart every day. I have a studio in Napa. It's about, not that the size matters, but it's about 15,000 square feet, and everything that I design, or most things that I design, get fabricated, managed, and installed from the talent out of that roof. So it's pretty much turnkey, so it's all very organized. Can you even read that from there? Probably not, huh? That's okay. So, so I've been doing this for a really long time, like over 30 years. I've probably won maybe 75 public art awards, which means I've probably developed and lost another 300. So, you know, that's just the game. And so I consider myself a seasoned professional, and I really do specialize in site-specific, large-scale, site-specific permanent art installations all over the United States and different parts of the world. I have a team, so I can't do what I do without a team. So the team's super important. So we have skilled artisans and fabricators, 2 full-time digital designers, because everything has to be digital now. And so I'll make a rough model, then we'll make a nice physical model, but also the 3D modeling and all of that. So we have 2 full-time, we call them pixel monkeys. We have a full-time project management team. That's Jason that runs that part of it, and he's just super good. So what you can expect from us, if you like the art that I'm presenting, that it will be tightly managed, and there's just no way that it won't get here when we said it would, and there's no way that it will cost a penny more than we said it would, etc. And of course project development, public art administration, and that sort of thing. And then the studio, when I started 30-something years ago, I started in stained glass, so my background was in glass. And then years later I decided that I didn't want to limit myself to one medium, but our core skill is still glass. Well, we also have a metal studio, wood studio, gallery space, and of course the admin functions. I forgot to ask, how much time do I have?
To complete the project?
No, to complete my dancing on the table. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I see an inside joke because I've been messing up that question all day. Oh, you have 45 minutes.
Okay, so I think I'm doing fine in terms of my rhythm there. Don't want to go too slow, don't want to go too fast. What? Oh, that I will speak really slow. I won't need all that time, but I'm happy to stay here as long as you want me. Okay, oh, nice, as long as I get my flight home. So I have a certain philosophy that's behind everything that I do, and it always starts with telling a story. And these stories are never about me, they're about the community, the people that are living with it every day. So I'm just trying to figure out how to tell other people's stories. Part of that is creating a sense of place. Everything that I do is site specific. I'm a little bit old-fashioned when it comes to art. I think it should be beautiful and inspiring. I don't know what they teach in art school, but I don't think it's that. Actually, I never went, so I don't know. Craftsmanship is super important. The one model that has Scotch tape on it, notwithstanding, it didn't quite make it, but craftsmanship, right? Okay, and then of course you want to be meaningful and relevant to the people that are enjoying it every day. So there's a certain approach that's behind that. So first you start exploring what is that community about. I came out here, I think in early August. I met with Andre and visited both sites and kind of drilled down. I have done one project in Peoria before, so I hope you don't hold that against me, but I feel like I'm very familiar with this area of the community. You need some research. There's an internal collaboration that happens inside my studio, and depending on how things are structured, there's collaboration also with the client. So, for example, do we want these spaced further apart? Maybe we make that one bigger and we don't want that small one, or there's room for us to collaborate, or you could just let me go and do it. Conceptual development, refinement, and then we got to get into the actual making of things and the installation. So I just want to hit on just a few past projects. This is called the aluminum yucca. This was for the city of Albuquerque. As it turns out, the yucca is the state flower. They have a very large percentage of their population is related to the Air Force in one way or another. So this is made of recycled fuel tanks from military aircraft. It's
solar powered?
Is it solar powered?
It's solar powered LED.
Yeah, you'll see there, right.
Awesome.
So we have solar panels out there. There's a lockbox with a computer in it so that it can be programmed. The thing is that it's right on the I-40, I think it's I-40 or 4140. That's sort of roughly where Route 66 was, so we were kind of thinking of that Route 66 culture where you can have a hamburger and a giant cowboy hat and all that kind of crazy, supersizing things. But it's the first thing you see as you approach the city. So it's welcoming you to Albuquerque. It's very much an iconic identity piece for them. And as you drive by it, I think it's about 20 seconds that you see it. In that 20 seconds, it gently goes from one color to another, and then again to another. And so that can be programmed to change colors and all of that sort of thing. This is in Dadeland. On the left is the model, on the right is the installations. It's in a fountain, it's in a kind of a roundabout, in a mixed-use project. All aluminum and dichroic glass, and that's what I'm proposing for you. Not that sculpture, obviously, but those materials. Because nothing ever fades, nothing ever gets tarnished, nothing needs really to be ever cleaned. And then you just see some different views of it. It was important to get some height out of there because of the adjacent buildings, all that. Just as, I keep forgetting which one is which, but one of them where the retail is, I think that's yours. We need some real height there because it's kind of far away from the street and the relativity to the architecture and all of that, but I'll get to that in a minute. This was in the Black Forest of Germany. It is a global company. This is all stainless steel and dichroic glass, and really creating I'm going to call it a visual dialogue with the architecture. So very rectilinear with the sphere as a nice contrast to that. All dichroic glass. That's what the majority of what I'm proposing for you. It's lit up really beautifully at night for nighttime viewing. This is called the Glass Forest. It's basically compound curved glass, stainless steel poles, no holes drilled, but it's engineered to withstand 250 mile per hour winds. And you can walk through it. There's a whole nature trail and different little surprises along the way, and this is one of the surprises. See, these are all very different, so you'd almost think maybe it was different artists, but that's because, remember I talked about telling other people's stories? So every project I approach, well, differently because it's a different audience, so to speak. So this is St. Petersburg, right on the ocean, luxury condos. That's the very rough model that I made. And then this is the finished installation. It's also dichroic glass and stainless steel. This is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, so this was a very controversial project in my own town. I don't know, probably, I mentioned to Christine, I actually serve on the City of Napa Planning Commission. It's a pretty high-profile thing, and I've been up there for a long time. And so anytime I do anything in my own town, it's like, oh, what's he doing now? And oh my God, and you know. So this is called the Hand of the Land. And the reason that the Napa Valley is so well known, it's not just the natural beauty, but it's because of the wine. How is the wine possible? It's because of the vineyards, the grapes, and that's possible because of the men and women that work that soil. And so the fruit of all their labors, that is that grape, and that's illuminated at night. It's a pretty exciting piece. We're supposed to go in front of a hotel in downtown Napa, but they got so scared of the controversy that we're doing something different for them now. But we have this big musical festival, so I made it anyways, and it was all over Facebook, super, super exciting. And so then the hotel people called, and do you think that maybe we could have that hand after all? After, you know? So it's like, oh, gotcha. So some of these things are tongue-in-cheek. So have you ever heard of the Culinary Institute of America? Yes. Right. So we have, they've come to Napa, to the Copia building. So the building originally It was Julia Child's Kitchen was the restaurant, and it wasn't very successful because people could never find it. And it's way back from the road. So this is also serving now as a wayfinding tool. So it's 10,000 forks, real forks on an 18-foot fork. And it's just one of those things that everybody stops to take pictures and all of that. This is just this piece called Up We Go. It's also aluminum and dichroic glass. It's in the town of Yountville on loan. I just did it because I wanted to, and it was fun. So here we are. So any questions so far? We want to get into it?
Where is the piece that you did here?
At your, do you call it a civic center or?
Plaza. I was just looking at this, which is
That's a cousin, and that's because what yours has is very beautiful tapered ends and no dichroic glass. So, so like I shared with you, I came out here with Darcy, my partner, and met with Andre, who we worked with before on the Civic Center project. And he was kind enough to give us about an hour and a half, and so we went first to the retail property, and then we went to the other property and drove back and forth and took a bunch of pictures and made Andre and Darcy stand out there and wave their arms so we could understand the scale and that sort of thing. So I think it's always important to, well, I'm going to get to the goals in a minute, but so both areas, I'm going after it as a triptych. Okay, so that it's just, rather than having a singular piece, I thought it'd be more interesting to break it down a little bit. So there's this theory with threes is perfect, and it's always complete when you go with three, not with four, not with two. So we have inspired cactus species native to Peoria in the Sonoran Desert is the big idea here. Two installations are clearly related, but sufficiently distinct to provide unique visual experience to the viewer. So one of the things I was struck by is that the two properties are, I had forgotten how spread out this place is. And it was a long drive, really, from one site to the other. And I thought, wow, this could be a perfect opportunity to kind of knit our community a little more closely together by having these cousins. Or if we were to do both, I don't want to get ahead of myself and be too presumptuous, but you know, what if we mixed them up a little bit? Okay, so I'll get to that later. That only really works if we do both, because it's a whole two set of different structural drawings and coordination and all that, so they would have to be kind of done as a suite. So each installation integrates materials differently, interprets natural forms, I'd like to think in a unique way, and has a distinctive presence throughout its site. I don't know if we'll have time or if you have interest, but if we were to go outside with this and you put this in the sun, it just blows up. It just reflects colors, long stretches of color. It changes color depending on your direction of viewing and all of that. It's very, very dynamic. So this is the first one. This is inspired by the barrel cactus. Let me see what I have here, hold on. The goals. So these are your goals. So I kind of like to always do that so that we remember what we told the artists that the goals were, so that we kind of stay on it. Site-specific work that complements the environment of the location. We want it to be signature pieces. Acknowledge and respond to the high traffic intersection, so people are moving all the time, right? And it's kind of at a distance. So using these kind of materials, it's so dynamic with natural light. It's just crazy that you'll be able to see it. You can see it from, I don't even know how far away. If I held up that little model and I went all the way out to the end of the parking lot and I held it up, you could see it from here. And it's just this big. Okay, so it's got that going on. Reflect the unique qualities, culture, landscape, and experience of Peoria. I think we're doing that. Create light-filled, colorful, engaging artwork. So the way to get color, you could use powder coating, like you could do paints. They'll fade. They're just going to fade. That's what happens. It's pigment. And we got such strong desert sun here, the UV light will tear it up. Within 4 years it's fading, or sooner. So then I'm thinking, okay, we're not going to use powder-coated metals. What other materials? Well, glass. Not exciting enough unless I go to dichroic glass because it's so reflective. So 50 years from now, it'll look exactly the same. It doesn't change. Barrel cactus. Well, it's obviously an iconic emblem of the Southwest, right? You don't have to just drive around to see it. I've got one that's 4 feet, 10 feet, and 6 feet. We rendered them, I think you'll see in a minute, a little bit too far apart. I still want to kind of tweak how close they are and where they are. Talk to Andre about maybe when we're pouring pads, we can berm up the land a little bit. There's tons of construction going on anyways. We take some of those spoils and get more height out of it. So each dichroic glass fin is curved, and the negative space becomes as interesting as the positive space as the dichroic. See how it's changing color? And we're indoors, we're not even outside in the sun. It's just really, I'm gonna make you go outside actually when I'm towards the end, okay? Because I just want you to experience that. So each one has 6 of these fins radiating from the center core. And the structural members actually add another kind of design element that I think is really handsome. Beautiful architecture, beautiful, it's perfection, it's nature. That's where's a better place to get inspiration than from nature? So that's Darcy and Andre. Okay, so I made them do that out in the hot sun. That was when it was over 100. So I did that from the shade. So this is kind of what it starts to feel like. I think I want to push them a little closer together, maybe even a little bit how I have them on the table right here. But you can get the idea. And this is not showing up very well, but if maybe in there it'll look a little bit better. And if you can just look at those models and see how dynamic they are. They don't need to be any bigger than that to show themselves. This is basically a true story. That's out of your car. You see the rearview mirror, so that's what you'll see. And you know, once the installation's done, well, before, if we can berm it up, that would be great. Maybe we can talk someone into actually doing a little bit of landscaping around that. Anything you can do like that will totally enhance it. A big boulder, it really starts on, that's not part of my budget, but I'd be happy to help with that and participate in that. So Andre shared with us that we got to be a little bit careful about lighting. We can't make them too bright. Do you have like a black sky or dark sky, dark sky ordinance? They have that in Albuquerque too. So I think low level lighting is all that we'll need because that dichroic glass is so dynamic. And even when a car goes by, it's going to bling off of it. The street lights is going to light it up. So, but we are including lighting in our proposal, which I can show you in the breakdown in a moment. This is the same view as before from the car, but at night. So fabrication, installation, budget, timeline, materials, maintenance. You want to know all about that. So let me go through it. That's a lot of words. So this is basically a detailed description of how it's made. And it's in there. And if you don't mind, I don't feel like, it's not that I don't feel like it, that doesn't sound right. I don't know that I need to read it all, but it's all basically figured out, as you can see here. So we've already done our shop drawings, so it's just one step away from going to the structural engineer, but we have a high degree of confidence that the way that we've designed it, the worst that could happen is the structural architect or structural engineer might ask for a bigger pipe or a different bolt or something like that, but we've gone deep enough that we're very confident that it can be made. This is, again, in there. It has all the little details. What's dichroic, what's aluminum, where are the bolts, where's the channeling, all that's figured out. And what is this? This is all to do with the installation, and it's a very detailed installation plan. It wouldn't be very different than the last time we worked together. You're going to be participating in the concrete. We are going to design it. We're going to have the engineer drawings done. Then you all are going to do the minimum amount of pad that needs to be done. You need to bring electricity to it. It's not very far away because we saw it out there. So you're going to trench it, bring a conduit, bring me a box, and then we supply the lamps and install the lamps. Okay? This tells you the equipment that my team has already figured out: a portable generator, forklift. I mean, I don't know. It shouldn't really matter to you, but I mean, we're providing all of that, but we know how to install it and we know what we need to install it. Both sites are really, really accessible. On your property, there's a side on the, I can't remember which side, but there's a nice wide area that we can get our equipment in there, so it's no big deal. And then when we leave, everything's shiny and happy and there's no tools and there's no mess. And that's the budget breakdown. I don't know, I don't need to, you see it there and you have it there, that's how it breaks down. We're talking 14 to 21 weeks, could speed it up if you wanted to. My experience is, no offense, but working with municipalities, they're the ones that are usually slower than the private sector, so we'll be ready and then we'll be waiting and then waiting some more and then calling you and bugging you over in procurement and where's that and where's this and that sort of thing. So dichroic glass, dichroic glass is probably the most expensive glass on the planet, first of all. It was originally designed for NASA, for filtering light. It's what's called a thin layer coating. So you take a piece of glass and you put it in a chamber, and it's on a rotor. There's these little clips, and then there's metal down at the bottom of the chamber. They close it. They shoot it with lasers, and the glass is spinning, and all those metal oxides are flying around in there, and they adhere themselves to the glass. It takes 2 to 4 hours depending on which color that you're making. So blue, gold, magenta, green, yellow, cyan. Those are the colors that they have. There's really no maintenance. I mean, once it does rain here once in a great while, that's when you'll dust it off. The rain will take the dust off, that's all. You don't ever have to do anything. If you want to, that would be great. You might want to do it for that property because it's more retail and stuff, more urban. So you might want to get out there and wipe it down once in a while, but you don't have to. That was that one. Do you want me to go to the next one, or do you want to talk about this one? Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me the heights of the 3 pieces?
I think I said 4, 6, and 10. Let me see.
Sorry.
Don't apologize, not at all. I should know it off the top of my head, right? 10 feet, 6 feet, 4 feet.
Are you saying that those beds made out of glass?
Yes, ma'am. Safety laminated glass, so like bulletproof kind of glass. So I have a piece of dichroic glass, and then I have 2 pieces of plate glass that are safety laminated in an autoclave. So you would have to hit it really hard many times with a hammer to get a crack in it, and then if you had a crack in it, it's just a crack. It can't go anywhere, so it doesn't fall off in shards or anything like that, so it's still structurally sound and stable, and can be relatively easily replaced. No, really different than seeing seeing a car going by and hitting the chrome a little bit, or bouncing off a rear view mirror. So it's I'm not the only artist out there that uses dichroic, and so it's out there all the time. So I get asked that all the time, and so I've had to think of a good answer, and that was my answer. Okay.
Did you say you didn't go to school, or you didn't go to art school?
Gee, I confess, why did I do that? I have a very complicated history growing up, and so I didn't finish high school, honestly.
I didn't mean to embarrass you. I was
No, that's all right. Well, I'm kind of proud of it, actually, since I've come so far from being so low down there. You gonna ask something?
Yes, thank you, Jordan. So I'm not as familiar with this media. So is it when it's created? Is it that like normal light like penetrates it? I mean, obviously there's a reflective quality of it, but does
Look
light
what it's
go
already
through
doing.
it?
Look what's already happening.
It's prismatic.
Why don't we just, come on, you guys, just for a second. Come on. Come on, you need to stretch anyways. Crazy days are here again, right? So, you know, depending on where you are, well, now I'm not in the sun, driving by it, it just changes color. That's what's going to happen.
So, like a headlamps would really penetrate, would go through.
Yeah, just like sunlight does, of course. And so a headlight going by will do something like that. It'll push light through it, and it'll reflect light off of it. So this, let's see, which fin is doing what now? So it's reflecting gold and transmitting magentas and blues. So it's pretty darn fabulous, actually.
So from a recommendation standpoint for the base that it's going on to, what do you recommend then? Because you're going to get, if it's gravel or, DG kind of stuff, or versus the concrete or versus a different surface.
Well, yeah, I would just do DG or gravel or something light colored. I mean, it can be dark colored. It's still super strong. But obviously if it's a lighter canvas, it's going to be brighter.
Can we move it onto the DG?
Yeah, sure. Let me go grab the other one. So anybody can grab that. It's okay. That's a darker DG out there, but you still see the light on it.
Yeah, if you practice it, you can actually see the stones.
And that happens to be a different color.
That's very cool.
Well, red, gold,
Yeah.
right? So you see all those colors in there?
Wow.
And then with the perforated, I know we haven't gotten to this one, but I don't want to make you come back out in the sun, but the perforated metal then introduces yet another pattern and gives it another texture. It's kind of reminiscent maybe of all those little knobs on some of those cactuses, right? Little stickers that I used to not know they were stickers and went and slapped it when I was a little kid. Took about a week to get them all out of my hand.
Well, you learned your lesson that way.
Yeah, right, the hard way.
That material gets super hot in the sunlight. Does it really heat
It's like
up?
regular glass.
Like regular glass,
Yeah, it's no different. But even if it got hot, it's not going to get any hotter than a hood of a car.
Okay.
And I don't think anybody's really going to be spending any time out there.
Waiting on it.
And even if they were, I mean, it's designed to, you could beat it up. It's super strong. Rather that you didn't, but sometimes the municipalities ask us for all the shop drawings, which we're happy to provide. So in the event of my demise, which will happen sooner or later, that you'll have all the specs, and so you can go and procure that on your own. Typically, if something happens, which is rare, they come back to the source, but I might not be here eternally. Although I am at church, you never know.
I love the different ones together like that, the different shapes like that.
Yeah, right. So I thought we could play with that. And so basically the next presentation is the same as the first one, except showing images of that in that environment. So it's all the same. So we could, this is the largest of the two, so I don't know that I would do that, but I would take maybe this large one, the smallest Segura, and then the medium size of that one, and make that a triptych. And then the other ones, obviously, is the other triptych. You're still tying the community together, knitting it together if you keep them separate, but I think it's even stronger then if you did that, if that was important to you. It seemed important to me that you would want to do that, given that we're so spread out here.
Yeah.
Right.
Lighting at night is in the ground coming up on it. How is that?
I don't know that we drew that, but it's indicated in those in the shop drawings that my team did. But there'd be like probably 3 uplights. These probably also will have 3.